Most people think building a fire in the rain is just about having the right gear, but watch closely. It looks like this one's about to see those first sparks. The tiny flames starting to lick at the wood. That's the illusion. Out here, when everything is soaked, failure comes slow, then all at once. And in the wild, that's the moment that decides whether you stay warm or stay wet, cold, and vulnerable. Let's see how fast this hope burns out.
And this is how most people would try to start a fire. They'd get the wet sticks, they'd get a little nest here because they've seen it on TV or they've seen it on a video, make a little whatever. They may have thought ahead to prep some kind of kindling, tinder, but not much, right? And so they find something semi-dry like this. They chop it all up so they could get something to start, some kind of paper from maybe in their pocket. They'd have something. Some kind of paper. And then they'd sit here and just try to start a fire over and over again. But the wood is damp as shit. It's not gonna do anything. They're gonna sit like here, they're gonna waste their energy, and it's not gonna work. They're gonna get frustrated. They're gonna start swearing up a storm, and then they'll start panicking. They'll be like, all right, I gotta get out of here, blah, blah. They like find a creek, start following the creek. That's where they get into trouble. Last traces of them vanish. And then they're either, if they're ever found, they're found dead months later. To do this properly, or the stoic way, the being able to calm yourself, to not panic, there's an acronym that we use. It's called STOP. So S is sit, just sit still, be silent for 30 seconds, take some breaths, do a breathing exercise, 4 seconds in, hold for 4 seconds, and then blow out for 8 seconds. You do that for 30 seconds to 3 minutes, and your heart rate's going to come down. You're going to be able to do the next step. Next step is think. So stop, just silent, sit silently, think, observe, plan. So the think stage, you're just thinking about, okay, what's my next step? What's my first step? What do I have to do right now? Okay? Observe. The next step, you look around and you just see what you have available, see what you can utilize, see if there's something that you can get higher ground to find a path. You just observe. And then once you have all that information, you've thought about it, you have your heart rate down so you're thinking straight, you observed everything, you got all that information, you put forward a plan. For me, I know that I've planned early, and I have 2 types of tinder. I have jute cord, and I have char cloth. And I know that this stuff is dry, carried it in my pocket. Typically, if you know that it's going to be super stormy, or you're going to get drenched, you're going to have to cross a creek or a river, something, you're going to want to bag this up. So it's in a Ziploc bag or in your dry bag. If you're carrying a dry bag as your emergency kit, which you should. Mine's currently in a different state, so you know, there's that. Super prepared. But, and then the other thing that you'll want, so you'll want tinder, you want kindling, and the best way to get kindling, even though the outside of this log is wet, the inside is not. Take some of this, you can start to see there's a dry interior, and that's gonna light pretty easily, and that's your kindling. And then you open up one of these logs enough, you get some batoning done. Maybe I can. There we go. And you get pieces like that. Look, completely dry. That will burn. Get that all. And when it's wet, you want to get the tinder and kindling off the ground. Because even though it looks dry and it is fairly dry, the air is damp, so it's going to be slightly damp, so it's going to be a little bit hard to start. And you're going to want to kind of create a channel here that you can put your tinder underneath it. Also standing over top so that it doesn't get soaked from the rain coming down. Or get yourself underneath a tree, build a shelter. That might be, well, not might be, that is the first thing that you should be doing, is trying to get a shelter up. Get out of the wind, get out of the rain, keep your body temperature up. It only lasts 3 minutes without any air. 3 hours if you don't have the proper gear on, or you're in the elements, really cold, rainy, windy, all of that will just take the heat directly from your body. Or the opposite, if you're in a desert and you can't get water, you're in direct sun, you can't get into shelter of some sort, then 3 hours, typical. You can go 3 days without water. So most people think, oh, I need to get some water, I need to get some food. Those are really the last things that you want to get going. Fire, there's not a specific one for fire, but fire is a morale boost. If you can get a fire going, it will produce heat, so that will help. But it's a lot harder to do that and to focus on it if you're getting pissed on. Okay, so we got a bit of kindling. I'm going to use the jute cloth, or the jute cord this time around. You just get a bunch of this, and you just make a huge mess of knots with it so that it will catch on fire. You get the wax stuff, or the stuff that's soaked in. There's a couple of companies that put it out, but you can get it in like a little tube And you just prop open the top of it, you feather out that whole thing, and then you're able to strike it right on that. Use it as almost like a candle that you can light something with, and then just extinguish it by pulling it back down through the metal tube. But just regular jute cord will work. It's easy. You can throw a twine of it in your bag, so you always have some. You can just cut a piece off. Char cloth, like I showed you earlier, that can work. That's just basically taking a tin can and you're poking holes in it, and you throw some jeans or material like that into it and put it in a fire, and it creates a cloth of charcoal that is easily ignited. All right, now that I got some of that, I'm going to do a little bit more. I'm going to save this for next one, and we'll see how rusty I am at this. It's been a little bit since I've been doing this for teaching, and I have 3 boys that want to learn this stuff, and not always getting out there to do it with them, but to do it more. All right, a little bit of a nest here. I have my stuff to go on it here. Get it all prepped, get all these tiny stuff. I do have my boys. Got some extra stuff here. See if I can get this going this time. See if this will be enough. Okay, with this, you don't want to knock this stuff off, so you want to be
So the rain put out the fire at it to get the bigger stuff to catch. This is one of the reasons why it's better to get a shelter up first, early stage before I could. Sometimes that's how it goes, then start a fire.